So I went to see War of the Rohirrim last night, and I am entirely serious, and I'm saying it with an entirely straight face. This is the best movie to come out of 2024. And I say this as a diehard musical theater fan who came out of Wicked crying. This movie was better. As a disclaimer, I'm going to be getting into like some spoilery things here, so this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen War of the Rohirrim, which you absolutely should, please go and do that now and then come back here. Are all the people who haven't seen the War of the Rohirrim gone? They're gone? Okay, good. So I really shouldn't have been surprised. I saw a lot of pushback in like the Lord of the Rings fan groups about this movie being like, oh, it sucks. It's like it's gonna be like this shitty misandrist, super woke kind of thing. Which no, it isn't really. And I think it would be very easy for like the shittier asshole fans of this fandom to judge this film out of hand. But when you go into the theater, like this was an incredible experience to watch. Like, not only do you get like the very original story of Hera and the the journey that she goes through where she loses everything and then she helps fix the problem that's going on in the War of the Rohirrim in a very Hera way that is still very Rohan coded. It's incredible. Also, we got to talk about Helm Hammerhand. Like, everyone was like, "Oh no, Helm Hammerhand is being like decentered in his own story." Absolutely not. Like, this man is like Chuck Norris. He was incredible to watch. Also, to my recollection, this is the first of the Lord of the Rings adaptations, and maybe even one of the first of like the actual original material, where you have more than one female, or even more than two females on the page or on the screen together talking about something that isn't a man. This is one of the only Lord of the Rings properties that I can think of that passes the Bechdel test. And oh no, like that's super well, like no, it's not. The Bechdel test is kind of like a baseline. It's kind of like the bare minimum when it comes to representation of women in media. But like even then, even though this is like mostly an original character, like this girl did not have a name in the original source material. She's still very like embedded in the Rohan world, in Edoras, in Helm's Deep, and all of that. Like, it makes sense that she is here. I'm like, she doesn't feel out of place. She doesn't feel like a self insert. And not only do I think this is a good adaptation, a good like translation from book to screen of Helm Hammerhand and his family and all of that. I also think it's just a plain good movie. So I went to see this with my husband, who is not like a Lord of the Rings person, but he's an anime person. He's as much of an anime person as I am a Lord of the Rings person. So we rolled up to the theater, and I think he was feeling a little bit skeptical because he was like, anime, Lord of the Rings, like, is it gonna work? And he came out of that theater like, this movie was incredible. Like, he wants to read the books because of this movie, which this movie did what I could not. And I'm so thankful to this movie for it. The characters are also super interesting. Like this guy, he is the guy who takes over at the end of the movie, and he is the ancestor of Theoden and Eowyn and Eomer. So like it's good to see this man in action. And it also kind of shows how history is cyclical in a way, because both The Lord of the Rings and this story have a king sending someone away that doesn't need to be sent away. Like he is being blamed for something that is not necessarily in his control, and he's telling the truth, and the king is sending him away, but he comes back and he takes over for that king in the end. Like, history is cyclical, just like the songs and the legends are cyclical as well. As for the bad guy, like, I will say, as a book talk girly who is kind of getting into like that dark romance stuff, and who loves childhood friends to lovers, when he was like, "I want to marry you, Hera," I was like, "Girly, just say yes." Like this is not like a hard decision to make. But then Hera says no, and then he goes full incel, and I'm like, "Oh, Hera, you have better judgment than I do. Like, I'm gonna let you rock." I also think this movie did something really interesting with the concept of death flagging, because Rohan is they love to flag their death flags. It's just a thing that they do. But there's this moment about halfway through the film where we are hanging out with Hera and her brothers, Hama and Haleth. And Hama is like kind of sensitive, like he plays the harp. He has a really old horse, and Hera is like, "Hey, like you're gonna fucking die on this horse. Like I know you love her, but like you need to go and find you need to go and find another horse. Like this is a serious battle here." And Hama's like, "Nah, like no, like I get what you're saying, but this is my horse. Like she's gonna make it through. Like I'm here for it." So I was like, "Oh well, shit. Like Hama's gonna die." And I knew that he was gonna die, but like I was like, "Oh shit. Like okay, it's happening now." And then the battle goes on, and the battle goes on, and he keeps getting out of like shitty situations. And then the other brother dies, Haleth. And I'm like, oh, they didn't really death flag him. Oh, I guess Hama's safe. Maybe I. Okay. And then finally, like Helm's on the horse. Hera's leading everybody out, like they're doing what they gotta do, and then just as they're about to like reach like proper safety, Hama's horse starts to slow down, and then you're like, oh, okay, shit. And it was really cool, I think, for me, because it was like I had kind of resigned myself to Hama dying at like before the battle even started, and then when the other brother died, I'm like, ooh, I have hope for this like harp playing songwriter. But then no, like he's also dying, and that's also sad. And it actually like gave me the opportunity to be sad about it. I feel like I grieved Hama twice. And also, I don't want to hear about Helm Hammerhand being sidelined in his own story, because this man was a champion the entirety of the time he was on the screen. He stole the screen every time he was on it. Like he was great. I would love to see some of these like more original stories of like adaptations of Lord of the Rings stories just being treated fairly, because I feel like before this movie even came out, there were like these clusters and pockets of the fandom who just did not want to appreciate this film for what it was. And this could have just been fun. We don't like we have like the histories and all of that, but like if I remember correctly, this isn't like it's like a full story. So of course they need to expand upon it. They need to add new characters. They need to do things like that. And in order to like tell a story for the film, because the medium is the message, y'all. And I feel like they did that. I feel like it was done really, really well. And I would just like to see this movie be treated with a little bit more respect. Sorry. Not sorry at all.